Welcome back to Cheese La Vida. We're going to talk about some interesting stuff today. The podcast that nobody asked for, Radiohead review. But first, tell us about Lansing, Nathaniel.
Lansing is the state capital of Michigan. Not a lot of people know that they're state capital. A lot of people don't know we have a state capital. So that's pretty cool. Lansing was pretty nice. You know, beautiful city when people are actually working in it, you know.
What are you saying?
Our government doesn't work ever.
Well, only on Mondays.
There's 365 days out of a year, and they only work 165 of them.
Is that
and they're
true?
off on Mondays, and Friday and Saturday and Sunday. So they work.
I don't think they're off Friday. I think they said Monday and Saturday, right? Or was it Sunday?
They're out by 12 on Fridays and Mondays.
No, they don't work Mondays. Remember, they didn't do the chamber thing.
That's right. Yeah, half day on Friday, no day on Saturday or Sunday, and no work on Monday.
So why did we go to Lansing?
To show and promote my album, Constitution.
Is that why we went? I thought we went to take pictures.
Well, we did. We went to take pictures for my album.
Yes.
And we did.
Okay. So, take us into the process of why you wanted to do all that.
There's no better place. You know, we get live pictures of, like, Lansing in its entirety, you know what I mean? You know, where hypocrisy happens, you know, man? You take pictures that last forever. Yeah.
Of the state capitol?
Oh, yeah. You never know, man. One day, that bitch just might be burnt to the ground.
Is that a threat?
No, that's a fact. Sometimes it happens.
So you were speaking rather politically and decisively on the album.
Oh, yeah.
Was that kind of hostility exhibited while at the state capitol?
No, not at all. Because there were some people that genuinely worked there that were like, oh, this is your building. What the fuck are you asking me for? Just go in there.
That was great.
Yeah, that made me
feel
happy.
good.
Really? No. Here's the thing. The one thing I don't like about our system of government, if I ever wanted to speak to my congressman, or if I wanted to go sit in while these fucktards make laws and try to pass them and stuff like that, I'm not allowed to do that. I don't get to see them when they're in there rambling on. I don't get to put my 2 cents in, even though...
But you get to go into the building.
Yeah, when they're not doing anything.
I think you're allowed to visit at any time.
Yeah, you're allowed to visit.
Well, between the certain times it's open.
Right, no, I get that. But I
public.
mean, if they're sitting in talking about laws and shit and fucking stuff they want to pass, I can't sit in on that. They're like, ha 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 ha, we do what we want, you know?
Well, the thought is that you elect the people who speak for you.
Right, but then what happens when we don't like their law? And we tell them we don't like their law. Oh, too bad.
Why would they pass a law if you voted for them that they wouldn't have on their platform?
To appease people.
Why wouldn't they want to appease their own base?
Because they don't give a fuck about
Isn't that what
their
you
base.
said on Constitution? We're constantly split behind these party wars, and
Yeah,
you're
but
saying people are appeasing.
like I said on the last podcast,
Which last podcast?
the one we did where we were talking about just life and stuff, Nathaniel in general. You know, people evolve, people have different viewpoints that change and shit like that. Mine change. They just, none of them care about us, dude. It's a sad and unfortunate truth, and the world is starting to, like, wake up and see this, that we would literally be better on our own, making our own decisions. The same shit's happening over in France right now. You know what I mean? I'm pretty
No,
happy.
I don't. What's going on in France?
So I'm pretty proud of France, you know. They found their nutsack, you know. It's a lot going on right now over in France. So this word nationalism that gets thrown around a lot.
Oh, man.
Yeah, so...
Nathaniel's taking the red pill.
No, seriously, the word nationalism, now, it's a very distorted word, and a lot of people through history have used it to control its citizens into believing that this is the one and only place, we do it this way, Unfortunately, if we adopt the radical viewpoint of nationalism, we'll have another Hitler.
Well, that's the whole train of thought of nationalism, really. A united country, and, you can only really have a country that fully under the control, a body of government like that, is if one person's in charge calling the shots.
Right. So, nationalism...
I mean, think about films. You don't typically have too many great films with more than one director.
No, not at all. Not at all. I think nationalism is a good and a bad thing in itself. I think it's kind of like a double-edged sword. So nationalism, yeah, it could get out of control, believe me. You get your people riled up, shit could stir, you could do anything. Like exterminate an entire fucking population. That's what it was. And it also brings back, like, okay, hey, you know what? We love our country. We love the way we do things. Let's keep doing it. Let's evolve. But hey, we're gonna protect ourselves. We're gonna protect our people. And when I mean our people, I mean everyone in the United States. No matter what you look like, no matter what your race is. If you're in the United States and you're a citizen, you're a natural-born citizen or a legally immigrated citizen, you're under the flag, baby. You're a part of the group.
You're American.
Exactly. So that's the thing about it. So in France right now, that fucking idiot Macron, right? He is doing this globalism thing. That's why I don't like the EU. I do not believe in globalism. Which means a bunch of people get together and they try to dictate everything else.
Isn't the EU trying to make their own standing army?
Yeah, that's not a good thing, because that's not a good thing. We'll talk about that. I'll tell you why I feel that's not a good thing. The French people, the people's workers of France or whatever, the yellow coats, or orange coats, their vests and stuff. These are like the middle class of France, and they're fucking revolting, launching fireworks.
Basically.
I don't know.
Right wing.
I don't know. I guess it's everybody. There's been no word if it's a liberal or if it's right wing.
Well, it's one or the other, most likely.
It's just people are getting pissed because of the rising gas prices. People can't afford it. That's the thing. I think.
Where are you getting that from? That seems pretty left field.
Well, no, I was reading about it. I checked a couple sources, I checked multiple sources. I checked Fox News, CNN, The Hill, Washington the Washington Post. I mean, just so I'm giving you like an example, I didn't check a right-wing source or a left-wing. I checked all of them. I checked Spectrum, and a lot of them were saying the same things. Some slight deviation, but that's because that's a writer typing it. They all have to put their fucking little razzle-dazzle. Yeah, their razzle-dazzle, you know what I mean? So,
they're revolting, though? Like,
yeah, the people are... Yeah, no, there's rioting.
Violence?
Yeah, there's rioting going over in France right now. People are fucking...
And you're proud of that?
Oh, fuck yeah.
Explain.
Oh, that's what we're supposed to do when our government pisses us off.
Okay.
We're supposed to blow shit up. We're supposed to dismantle you guys. That's the thing. Globalism. You think you're in charge of us when we're in charge of you. That's why everyone at the United Nations laughed at Trump. I don't fuck with Trump that much. I'm not gonna lie to you. He is our president. I want him to succeed. I would be pissed if our president went into the United Nations, any president we've had in the last 20 years, and the fucking United Nations laughed at him. That's not right. We protect every single one of you motherfuckers. We export so much shit to you guys. We offer you money, trade, aid, everything. We take care of the entire world. Why? Because that's our responsibility. It's the United States. It is. We're kind of like the big brother who doesn't want to ever help, but unfortunately we have to. And that's why I believe nationalism can be a good thing. So if we utilize the good part of nationalism, which is...
Can you do that?
It's going to be difficult. Some presidents have
Some
tried
say
it.
that's impossible.
I don't know.
A lot of presidents have tried it.
A lot of presidents have tried it, and some of them have succeeded. Nixon did it. JFK did it.
I'm talking even way back further. Technically, the Monroe Doctrine would be nationalism.
Yep.
That's the 5th president. I mean, he's talking about this western side of the world. That's us. Our stuff, don't fuck with it.
Exactly. So, I mean, nationalism is a good thing.
James K. Polk, the 11th president.
Yeah.
45th parallel or fight. You know, they're trying to manifest destiny, spread across the continental United States, no matter what cost.
Exactly.
That's nationalism.
Yeah.
I don't know if they called it that back then. They probably did, but they probably at the same time felt it was more acceptable.
Right. Well, I mean, Hitler wasn't around. Nationalism got a bad term when...
No, Hitler wasn't around, but
that's when it got the bad term.
The previous 1,000 years had emperors and whatnot.
Yeah, but they probably didn't call it nationalism.
No, definitely not. Back then, that's just, this is our empire.
Right, exactly.
This is the way things are.
Listen to us. No, seriously.
I mean, you probably couldn't even question that. They'd probably just kill you.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
Is he serious?
Yeah, just fuck him up, dude. I'm super proud of France. This is what we need to be doing in the streets of fucking the United States. Seriously, dude. If you really think about it, we are in charge.
We just had midterms, though.
Yeah, it doesn't matter.
Spoke.
Do you really believe that your vote mattered? I'm asking you, I'm looking you dead in the face. I'm asking you a legitimate question. Do you personally believe your vote mattered?
To a certain extent.
You want to know what I did? I wrote my name in on every ballot.
I did write your name in for the judge, the district court. There was only one other... No, there was no options.
Yeah, there was one person.
I think so. I think there was one other option and then another judge. And I was like, okay, write in. And I wrote Nathaniel. That's not a joke.
Yeah, no.
I legitimately did that.
Yeah, no, your vote, unfortunately, in my opinion, doesn't matter. When it comes to presidents, the Electoral College, that wins over the popular. When it comes to voting for governor...
However, you have argued that the Electoral College is still needed.
It is, but at the same time, it needs to be revised. Does that make sense?
Yes.
So the Electoral College is a very important thing because, let's say, Republican and Democrat. So, unfortunately, there's always going to be some heavy populated Democratic states. Example, California. That is like 14... I think that's like 17 of the fucking electoral votes.
No, I'm sure it's more than 17.
It's a fucking shit ton.
I don't know the number off the top of my head, but I know it's a lot.
So that's why we're not the United States of California. You know what I mean? So that's why I believe the Electoral College is still needed, but at the same time it needs to be revised and everything needs to be redistributed and balanced. That's why I believe if they split California up into 3, that would put the peas and carrots balanced out on the plate.
That's a radical proposal. And I think that would be kind of cutting the Democrats' balls off a little bit.
No, not at all. Because half that
California's a big state.
Yeah,
California's cut it down into sections to give a conservative base even the slightest chance.
Yep.
Democrats essentially have no chance at ever winning then.
No, not at all, because there's not just Democrats in that state.
A large majority.
Most of the politicians are Democrats.
But there's a decent amount of conservative people. That's what I'm saying. You split California up into 3 chunks, give it a conservative base. Democrats essentially have no chance of winning.
Well, it would be fair, though. It gives everyone their voice and gives them a chance to be heard. And that's how it's supposed to be.
Well, then what about Texas?
Texas? Well,
all Republican, pretty much all the time.
There's a lot of
Democratic voters, especially like Dallas or something like that. But, they probably feel the same way about that. What about splitting Texas? You want to go that far?
I guess it would all depend.
I need an answer.
So if we split Texas into sections, we'd have to look at it like this. Who the fuck is going to try and stop that? Texas has got some crazy motherfuckers in there. Texas has threatened to secede from the United States multiple times in the last 40, 50 years.
I think you're thinking of South Carolina.
No, Texas is
South
talking
Carolina was the first to do that.
No, I'm talking about threats that have come out of certain states.
Couldn't tell you.
You know, Texas has done it before. They were like, bro, we don't need you guys. We got oil, we got food, we can do whatever we want. Fuck you guys.
I don't think they'd last.
I don't know, man. Texas is fucking huge. But, you know, we're getting off topic. But I don't know. I think it's evenly distributed in Texas, because Texas only accounts for like 6 electoral votes.
What are you talking about? No, it's not.
It has to. It's not that many.
It's a lot.
Let's find out here. Damn. Actually, you're right.
I told you. It's a big fucking state, dude.
38.
Yeah. And then Florida has a shitload. They swing Republican a lot.
Yeah.
You know, then you'd have to start breaking shit up like that if you want to do it to California.
I guess you're right. But that wasn't my opinion to split California up. That's people are actually trying to do that.
Yeah, I know people have been talking about it, but I'm just saying if you want to do that and have it really be fair, then we got to start thinking about all these other big states. Yeah. Do you really want to do all that?
I mean, if the people put in a petition, it gets signed into law.
When you can fix the actual system that these fuckers pretty much implemented themselves.
So this is why I do not like our system, our state government, as you will.
Are you speaking specifically about Michigan right now?
I'm speaking about multiple states.
Okay.
Every state has a constitution.
Why are you worried about other states?
No, I'm just using the spectrum. So every state has a constitution. Every state has its own laws. Every state has its own governor, acting governor, shit like that. So the governor is like the president of a state, right? I don't like that. I don't like the idea of...
You don't like the Greece idea of having little, smaller city-states and then one appointed official to overhead them?
Yeah.
That's essentially what the state government is.
Yeah, no, it's ridiculous. You know what I mean?
I mean, it seems like it's been in place for thousands of years, though.
Yeah, but has it really? It kind of works, it kind of doesn't.
Go on.
I mean, so let's use an example. We had a governor about, I don't know, it was a while ago. I forgot her name.
Granholm?
Granholm, thank you. Crazy bitch. So she was a dictator.
And you're trying to run for the mayor of Westland.
Oh, yeah. She was a dictator, dude. I'm not going to sit here and lie. She literally did a war on poor people. She put out something like, let's say I get a ticket. I can't afford to pay that ticket, so they suspend my license, right? So I get another ticket for my license being suspended. But on top of that, I got something called driver responsibility, which means, wow, you fucked up and got these 2 tickets. Now I have to teach you a lesson and give you another set of tickets. But you start off with like a fine, kind of like child support. So if your kid's 9 years old, you're $9,000 in the hole, right? So this fucking driver responsibility, you could be $800-900 in the hole and you have to pay it off over time. And for some reason, interest becomes a play in this because this is a fucking credit card, right? So it's just, I don't like the way they do things.
And you think all these themes stem from the state government? All these issues?
The people in the state government. Meaning our governors, our mayors, our congressmen, all this stupid shit. Like this thing right here. So we have a congressman out of the 6th district of Detroit. I think, yeah, hold on.
What are you talking about?
Just getting to
Detroit congressman he would be in a whole city. He would have a whole section.
Either way, whatever it is. He came up with something called the bullet bill, right? And the bullet bill would impose that I would be limited to how much ammo I could buy. I would have to get a psychiatric evaluation to buy a box of ammo. Oh, and not to forget, I would have to go pick it up and purchase it from the police station. Oh, hold on. Let me drop another bomb on you. It's got more taxes on it, higher than 6%. Those taxes would go to a group to teach people, his words, not mine, inner city folk, about their Second Amendment rights. This was his words, not mine. First off, we already have something in our state constitution that's saying any government agency cannot impose pre-man tax unless it's written into federal and state law on ammunition, guns, or any other paraphernalia that goes with a firearm. So he just wasted time, is what he did.
And you feel like all the pictures we took of Lansing symbolize all the issues and problems with the state and the government?
Look back at all the pictures that we did. Construction. It's probably, honestly, if we go down there right now, it's probably still under construction. There's probably people still not working. There's probably still clutter. There's probably still wasteful spending going on. I was in Lansing, saw 40, 50 police cars the whole day. I didn't see any police. Just cars sitting around the city. In my head, that's a waste of money. Where are the police at? What are they doing?
Streets were blocked off too. Parking hard to get to.
Right. It's congestion. It's clutter. This shit doesn't make any sense. It's not hard to do this. It's just a bunch of red tape.
And how did you feel being in the center of all that? Kind of profiting, honestly. I mean, you got to take your pictures and look.
How did I feel about it?
Yeah.
Disgusted. It's like a genuine feeling. I felt disgusted the entire day. I enjoyed my time with my friends. I was disgusted that I was in Lansing. I probably won't ever go back to Lansing.
Well, speaking of political talk, it's time to get to Radiohead.
Right.
You listen to that first album?
It wasn't bad.
No political talk in this one, ironically.
No.
All angsty, grungy Brit pop.
Yeah, so...
Nathaniel, you don't even really like Radiohead.
I don't really
How
fuck
did I
with
talk
Radiohead.
you into this?
I don't know, dude. I was kind of in and out of it. There's a couple songs on this album that I listened to prior. It's not a bad album. Radiohead, I can fuck with, you know.
Everyone's heard Creep.
Right, yeah, of course. I mean, if anyone's played Guitar Hero, they've heard Creep. Or, not Guitar Hero, fucking...
If anyone's turned on the fucking radio, they've heard Creep.
For real. It's not a bad album. It's good. Songs are a little different. A lot more actual instrument playing than there are lyrics, in my opinion.
How did you feel about the singing? Because you had some strong words at one point.
The singing, you know, it wasn't bad. It was a different tone. Like Mike was saying, it's really grungy, you know. It's real grungy. I fuck with grunge, you know. It all depends, though. What kind of, you know, are we talking about, like, the Runaways, or the Sex Pistols? Like,
the Sex Pistols are punk.
They're punk grunge. I don't give a fuck what anyone says.
Well, grunge later became an offshoot of all those punk band styles. So, I mean, punk's kind of like the granddaddy of grunge, but I wouldn't call the Sex Pistols grunge, especially since, you know, Nirvana's the definitive grunge band, pretty much.
They're grunge.
I'm not going to say they invented it, because that's ignorant as fuck.
Right.
But, you know, they were the biggest band doing it, and I mean, everyone copied off them, even though I think Pearl Jam's first album came out like a few months before Nirvana's.
Right.
Funny enough. But Radiohead's album was recorded the following year, and unlike those albums, this isn't that heavy. Like, I don't want to say Nirvana's this heavy fucking band and these grunge guys are just, you know, doing death metal solos and shit, but, you know, it's tuned heavier. There's punch to it. There's weight. There's angsty aggression in it. You know, teenagers can get behind it. Fuck you, mom and dad.
Right.
You know, and stuff like that. But it's got the pop punk feel to it that Green Day kind of blew up with the year after Pablo Honey came out, because this came out in '93, and I believe it came out in like February. Let me take a look here. February 22nd, 1993. So, full year before Weezer, Green Day, and all those bands. Blink-182 later, stuff like that. But there's elements of that in here, specifically on How Do You.
How Do You.
Yeah, they mix it up a little bit. There's fast-paced stuff in there, and then they slow it down with the, I don't want to say ballads, but the softer acoustic stuff that's more Brit-pop-ish. Just kind of soft. They have a mellow sound, though, on it, especially when they're getting angsty. Like, the chords, like I said, have weight and punch, and they have this bite to them, but you don't want to, like, beat the shit out of somebody. You're just kind of chilling back, like, yeah, this is life.
Right. God damn, dude, that's deep. You kind of just, like, blew my fucking head away for a second. I'm like, what?
Why? I mean, they're just mixing genres. Well, how is this mind-blowing?
Just
you
the
even
way
said
you
this isn't great.
No, the way you described it is blowing my fucking head away.
Well, why?
I don't know. You just, I have no idea. I just feel kind of, like, euphoric at the moment. I'm like, Jesus Christ.
Some say it's a gift.
Fucking wow. The way he spoke for that fucking solid 25, 30 seconds just blew me the fuck off, dude. Holy shit.
How does this album make you feel, though? Like, what do you get out of it? You said it was good, but you said at a few points that you don't really like it either, so it kind of... And then you said it's deep, but, you know, at the same time, it kind of sounds like other stuff. Like, it seems like a big fucking contradiction. I mean...
It's not bad.
Give me something.
It's not bad, it's not good. Like I said, I'm not into fucking Radiohead, you know? I like grunge, I like punk, I like rock and roll, I like it all. But certain bands I just don't fuck with. Radiohead is on that spectrum.
Did they mix all these genres well, at least? Like,
Yeah, I suppose they're bad.
Is there any standouts? Yeah, I think you said you don't even like Creep, right?
No, Creep's probably the best one.
What about, well, you said it picked up with the third one, How Do You?
Yeah,
That was the faster-paced pop-punk one.
It started to move a little bit. This whole kind of, certain songs on here kind of reminded me of like an anime.
Well, the last one, Blowout.
Yeah, definitely was like an anime song.
That definitely, well, until it got to the more vast wall of sound shit, where it's like this, and all you can just feel is the fucking
vibrations of the guitars.
All the feedback, and I'm not gonna lie, I didn't really like the feedback part at the end. The last like minute is all just guitar feedback,
right?
And then some other sound effects looped in there. It was kind of unpleasant to hear, honestly, but I don't know. I think they mix the sounds decently. There's some parts where Tom York's voice is not mixed well at all. I can't even think of the song off the top of my head. It's either it might be Prove Yourself. It's near the end of the album, like Vegetable or Prove Yourself. I don't know. The instrumentation's good, but his voice is just like, it's like this, fucking much louder than the rest of the goddamn music.
Maybe it's just
and
the
it
way
sounds
he
bad
talks,
too,
though.
because you know they put compression and reverb, and they threw all the bells and whistles like you have to have music ready for wide release.
Right.
You don't want a fucking demo quality sound, and it still didn't even sound good. I was listening to it like, holy shit, this is bad. This is unpleasant. Like, I personally don't mind Tom York's voice. You definitely said he sounded like a gay boy. I don't mind his voice. On this album, he definitely didn't have his voice yet.
Right, he didn't have his style or his gimmick.
He's a little all over the place and a lot more abrasive. Like, so he's got a girly sounding voice, and you know, it wasn't until he was like in his mid-30s that he just was okay with it and just accepted it.
Right, and used it to his advantage.
Yeah, and I mean, not that because the next two albums I really love. The next like 3 or 4 albums by them after this I really love, and he was using his voice more on that in the style that you would typically expect of Radiohead. But you know, like I said, it wasn't until his 30s where he just straight up was like, okay, well, I have a beautiful voice.
Right. It's like, you know, he's sitting there looking in the mirror. He's like, you know what? God damn it, your voice is magical. Your voice is magical, magnificent. Don't let anyone tell you different. Really? yeah, he's talking to himself in this, in my like fantasy here. He's like, really? Yeah, your voice is magical.
So you said you didn't like the drums on most of these? Because this is a 5-piece band, so... And like I said before,
it was just all over the place, dude.
This is a traditional, straight-up, grungy, alternative rock sound. So they're not straying too far from anything. They're playing their instruments.
Right.
They're picking a key, they're picking a measure, a tempo, and they're making songs. A lot of these songs were demos that they used to even get their record deal. They made Creep on accident trying to imitate some guy who influenced them, and it turns out the executives really loved it, so it became the single, and they compiled a lot of this music to be the introduction to Radiohead, essentially. Most of this stuff, well, I don't know if most of this stuff, but some of this stuff and then some more stuff that they didn't include on the album was actually a lot of the material they had for their first name for the band, which was On a Friday.
Was it really?
Yeah.
That's gay.
Well, they could only ever practice on a Friday.
That's kind of clever, actually.
So a bulk of the album is earlier material that they just reworked.
Sorry.
It's alright. So a bulk of the album is just material that they reworked or re-recorded or whatever, and it's kind of interesting to see them start off with this style, because it's just so fucking typical of the sound at the time, even though they were a little ahead of the curve, I believe, with the pop punk elements. But at the time you didn't know that, you know, looking back, and I mean, I guess most people probably overlook it too, even to this day, but I just couldn't help but notice that, or at least that's how I felt. I could be wrong, but that's how I felt when I listened to just certain parts of the album. It's like, okay, well, there's where it's a little more melodic here and fast tempo. I can't help but think that, next year Green Day came out with a sound like that.
Right. Green Day came out with a different sound, though. Green Day.
Oh, yeah, no, definitely.
Green Day's fucking dope.
Radiohead is definitely more melodramatic.
Yeah.
I mean, this whole album kind of sets that mood for everything going forward. Like, you don't really expect a Radiohead album to be happy, and if you start here, you know that going forward, you're not gonna get that from them.
Radiohead's kind of like a paper cut.
They're kind of like I don't want to say an intellectual band, but it's kind of a pretentious band in a way.
Ooh, pretentious. I like that. We haven't used that word in a while.
And I like Radiohead. I'm a big fan, but
I don't know.
You gotta like musical theory and stuff like that a little bit to really enjoy what they're doing, and some people just want a catchy song.
Yeah, you're right. That's fair.
That's why a lot of people still think of Creep, even though OK Computer to me is one of the best albums of all time. This one doesn't stack up to a lot of their later stuff. It's kind of boring. I like some of their messages of like anxiety and loneliness, being unsure of yourself. The one line in You, which is the album opener, it's like the world is gonna end so soon, and why should I believe myself?
It's fucked up.
It's very fucked up. You know something's coming, and you just can't seem to figure out how to stop it or better yourself. So, whatever. Fuck it.
Kind of just don't care.
Yeah, you just don't give a shit. A lot of these songs on this album deal with that. I think it was Vegetable. I don't know, I didn't really pay attention that hard, I guess. I'm a shitty listener. But one of these songs you said was really fucking... No, it was I Can't.
I Can't.
He said he feels worthless, and right away you were like, God damn.
Oh, yeah.
Especially the way he said it.
Yeah.
It was...
He wasn't really even singing it, to be honest.
Yeah,
it was just like, I'm worthless.
It was a quiet moment, and he just kind of like softly spoke it out. And it was like...
It was like, damn, dude, I'm like... Fuck, you ain't never got a hug from your mama? Let's take a big step back for a second. This motherfucker was upset when he wrote this. He was sad.
I think a lot of these were. I mean, think about Anyone Can Play Guitar. It's a fan favorite. I think it's got some dope guitar playing elements in there for the ironic joke of, this guy wants to be in a band so fucking bad, but anyone can play guitar.
Right.
And it's funny because at the time, like I said, and like we've said shitloads of times throughout this review, they sound just like anybody else at the time.
Right.
It's not like they were this big special dope band yet. They were just another angsty band that you got lost in the crowd with.
Right. I mean, all in all, they're not bad. But
what's the downsides to this album for you?
It's just sad, bro.
You don't do sad music?
It's not that I don't do sad music, just fucking... I'm not trying to sit down and listen to an album and be like, hey, I want to kill myself afterwards, Fuck. So, I just, if you want to have some sad songs in there, yeah, it's dope, dude. But if you're trying to fucking... I'm depressed, you should be depressed with me. I'm going to be like, what the fuck, dude?
So you don't value albums like that, music like that? Or
it depends.
Or you don't enjoy,
like
you don't
Cash?
Understand that stuff?
No, if we're talking like Johnny Cash, and certain songs Johnny Cash does, or certain songs Eminem's done, I'm going to sit there and I'm going to be like, damn, dude. I'm like, this was dope. This really spoke to me.
Okay.
I'm sitting here listening to Radiohead and I'm like, damn, bro, I want to fucking kill myself. You know what I mean? I don't think they deliver it correctly.
I think that's how they want to deliver it.
I don't want to kill myself, dog.
Okay, so and here's the thing, I guess, that would kind of show the divide. I think this shit is funny to them in a way, because the album's called Pablo Honey, and they're basing it off of these fucking Jerky Boys skits. Pablo Honey, connect me to Florida, or however the fucking joke is. So they have all these sad-ass songs, but in the midst of it, they got a reference to the fucking Jerky Boys. Like, I don't know what that says, but I really don't. I think it might show, like, the juvenile feelings of angst and anger.
Yeah.
And depression, but I guess to render those feelings is just like juvenile young teen stuff, and yeah, teenagers definitely go through that. Puberty spikes your hormones, but it's kind of, I guess I kind of agree with you, and that's where the album kind of loses me is like, where's the punchline? How is this supposed to connect and make me laugh along with you? Like, I get the sadness and the we're trying to do this is who we are, but I don't get with I don't get that overall connecting theme. It's not quite there yet. They didn't have that figured out.
We were born and raised in the 90s, and we really understood life in the early 2000s, but I think for the people that were 15 to like 20 in the 90s who were actually living through the 90s.
Yeah.
I think they probably understood it better.
Well, yeah, that was the angsty generation.
Yeah, no, there was a lot of fucked up
Nirvana. I mean, come on.
Yeah, you're right. Plus, that was the heroin generation, bro. It was I wouldn't say it was that generation, because every generation's got one, but it was fucked up during that time.
Well, they ended up raving near the end of the decade.
Yeah, in the late 2000s.
Ecstasies. Late 90s.
Late 90s. Well, I mean,
Well, this is the early 90s, though.
What, 93?
Yeah, 93.
Okay, so we're just getting done with the coke phase then.
We're done with the 80s. Glam rock is over. The overproduced commercialism of Wall Street's not cool. It's all about grunge. It's all about getting fucking dirty and sad and angry.
Yeah.
And Radiohead, they get sad and depressed, but at the end of the day, like, they're not going to punch you in the face. That's why I never quite understood their grunge attempts. Like, I get it was the sound and you felt comfortable going with that, but when you try to make the big connection between the concept of the album, I mean, they could have called it anything. but they went with a Jerky Boys skit for a reason. You always go with a reason for why this album's titled that, unless you are absolutely mailing it in, and I don't think they would do that. So what's the fucking joke?
I don't get it. I don't know. Maybe they're just assholes.
Maybe.
That's a theory. That is a theory, my friend.
Perhaps they were just young men enjoying some edgy content.
Yeah.
I don't know, but that's kind of disappointing because you expect more from Radiohead. It is their first project, but still, you got those expectations. Like you said, it's not a bad album. They're clearly great at playing their instruments.
Right. Yeah, they're not a bad
The most
band.
boring moments are when they're just playing their instruments, honestly. And they're just not quite in their element. Like, I won't say there's huge weak points for the album. There's a few songs I could have done without. What was the one that bored the piss out of you? I think it was I Can't, actually. I think he said it was really sad and it was boring the piss out of you.
Probably, it was most likely that one. I mean, I'm not gonna lie to you. Most of it was boring the piss out of me.
It seemed like a slog all the way through.
Yeah.
And it's clearly split into two halves. There's 12 tracks.
That's what I'm saying.
And tracks 1 through 6 and tracks 7 through 12 clearly follow like an ebb and flow. There's clearly a pace to this album. There's clearly intentions behind all of it, and it just doesn't connect that well, honestly.
I just don't really think this was like grunge.
It's fake grunge.
I
kinda,
mean,
yeah.
Grunge, you want to get pissed off and get up there and fucking, yeah, let's fucking get me pissed off, bro. I'm trying to punch people inside a fucking mosh pit. You know what I mean? Let's get going. But this was just sluggish, man. It made me like...
Yeah, it's melodramatic, and they're good at that, but that's not exactly grunge's style. Even the more melodramatic, laid-back grunge shit, like Black Hole Sun, won't you come? That's that guy's got like a deep, hypnotic voice, and Tom York has
like a little dainty 11-year-old.
and an interstellar best. That's okay, computer. Phenomenal album, but once again, getting ahead of myself. Point is, dude's got kind of a shrill voice. He can't do the deep melodic, even Cobain could do that with his screams. He didn't have, he had a cool, what more can I say, that could like invite you in and hypnotize you like you want to do with grunge, but he had a bite to his scream. And Tom York's screams on this album just kind of give you a fucking headache because it's shrill and he doesn't have it figured out yet. He wants to be this fucking edgy, tough, cigarette-smoking badass. And he's,
He's like a 15-year-old boy who has a female voice.
So, out of 10, what are you giving it?
Out of 10?
Mm-hmm.
Personal or professional?
Just give us both.
My personal, like a 3.
Okay, you didn't like it.
No.
Okay.
If I had to do a professional, like a 7.
So you thought it was okay.
No, I didn't like it, but if we're talking a professional standpoint...
From a technical standpoint, it was solid.
It was solid.
Okay. I'd give it like a 4.5, 5.
Personal?
Both. I try to mix them both.
Okay.
Because things are subjective, but there's also objectivity in art.
Right.
As much as you want to say, well, it's my personal preference, so,
right.
Go on your way. No, I'm sorry. You can enjoy this, and you can disregard everything I say, but at the end of the day, people, on a whole, are going to agree this is kind of a weak album.
Oh, yeah. No doubt.
And I can't recommend the average listener this album. I can't recommend people to start off with this album to listen to Radiohead unless you want to be a purist.
Right.
However, I would say if you're a fan of Radiohead, you should listen to this album.
I agree.
I think if you're a fan of any artist, you should probably always listen to their first album.
Yeah, always give it a shot. I'm a fan of Eminem. Didn't want to listen to any of his first mixtapes. finally listened to them. They were shitty, but...
It is what it is.
Yeah. It's just an example, you know? So...
In summary, if you're looking for a grungy alternative rock album, Nirvana's In Utero and the Smashing Pumpkins' Siamese Dream also came out this same year, and they're far superior albums. Radiohead to this day can still be incredibly melodramatic, but with this album they were clearly more interested in showing off and wanting to fit in. There's nothing wrong with that. It just doesn't make for an entertaining listen when you're trying to settle on a consistent vibe. Clearly these guys knew what they wanted to do, because they definitely have their moments on this album, but they just didn't quite know how to take their craft to the next level yet.
Yeah.
Well, I guess we can wrap that up here. Politics and Radiohead, they go together like cyanide and tea.
Yeah, it goes together like, like ass and tits, Or like, how about fucking, what about peanut butter and jelly? I got one better for you. How about napalm in Vietnam?
That's more of what I was going for.
I can fuck with that. Yeah. Radiohead and politics goes together like napalm in Vietnam. This is Chiza La Vida.
I'm signing off.
We're signing off.